Hey there, tech wizards. Get ready to turbocharge your PC. Welcome to the ultimate guide to performance tuning Windows. Create a restore point. Let's get started. First, I'm going to show you how to do these settings in Windows 11, but it'll work in older version of Windows as well. You just need to search for the specific setting, even if the menu is a little bit different. Now, before we start making changes to your computer, let's make a restore point. Come down here to the start, type in create a restore point, and under this system protection menu, come down here to create. Let's give it a name, hit create. That creates a restore point that you can recover Windows back to the original settings at a later date. Close that, hit OK, and now our restore point's set. I'll show you how you can return to that restore point later in this video. Performance settings. Let's take a look at performance settings in Windows. Go to Start, Settings, choose System, Power, and in this power mode you want to set it to best performance. It may be defaulting to balanced or best power efficiency, but if you want to improve the speed of the computer, set it to the best performance available. Now come over here to System, scroll down to the bottom, select About, choose this Advanced System Settings, and under the Advanced tab, come in here to Performance Settings, come into Advanced, and make sure this is set on Adjust for Best Performance of programs. You don't want it to do the background services, you want it to be focused on the main programs in the foreground. Hit OK there. Now select Privacy and Security, click on General, and turn off these settings. You don't need your PC resources wasting time on these recommendations. Now come down to Windows Update and check for the latest updates. Sometimes that can cause problems if you haven't completed any of these updates. While we're here, go down to Advanced Options and into Delivery Optimization. I recommend turning off this setting to allow downloads from other PCs. This is used to pull information about Windows updates from other computers on the network or from the internet. By sharing this information, it can slow down your computer, so I just as soon recommend turning this off and it's not sending those updates to other computers. Let's go back here to Privacy and Security, go into Diagnostics and Feedback, and make sure this is turned off to send the optional diagnostic data, since that can slow down your PC as well. You might even want to come down here to delete diagnostic data and remove that currently collected information. Let's go back to Privacy and Security, scroll down here to Searching Windows, and this one is a trade-off. It defaults to Classic mode, which searches only documents, pictures, and music folders, plus the desktop. You can set it to Enhanced, which will do a greater amount of indexing, but it does take up extra CPU consumption. But that may make your indexing searches quicker, so I'll let you choose which one's the best. Now come over here to Gaming, click on Game Bar, and if you're not using your PC for heavy gaming use, then it's a good idea to turn this game bar off since that takes resources. Let's close this, and in your menu, click Start, go to All Apps, scroll down here to Windows Tools. Choose System Configuration and go up here to Boot. If you want to speed up the boot process, check this box for No GUI Boot. That will eliminate the GUI display screen when you boot your computer, which takes a little bit longer. Select Advanced Options and make sure this checkbox for number of processors is not checked. When you turn it on, you can select the number of processors you want to use from your CPU. But by default, with that turned off, it's going to use the maximum number of processors. This is a recommendation that's been wrong in a lot of other people's videos, so take a look at that if you've set it that way from other recommendations. It should be turned off. Same thing's true with maximum memory. This only limits your memory, so just disable it so there's no limit. Hit OK. Close out of those menu options and restart your system so those options take effect. Application settings. Now let's take a look at application settings you can change to improve Windows performance. Come down here to Start, go into Settings, Apps, and look at Startup Apps here at the bottom. These are apps that load automatically when you boot your computer. You want to pay close attention to ones that have a high impact, and you can even sort it by the impact to see the high impact ones at the top. If any of these are not needed, you should disable them to improve performance. Now come over here and click on System, Display, and scroll down and click on Graphics. Up here under Change Default Graphics Setting, make sure you turn this on if you have a hardware accelerated GPU added to your computer. Otherwise, this may be grayed out. Once that's turned on, come back here and you'll see a list of apps that are installed and what the power saving setting is currently. Notice this one right here is set to high performance. If you click on an app and go to Options, you can see that it is set to let Windows decide by default, but you can select high performance or some other mode if that's what you want to set it to. Now, if you want to add another app that you commonly use that's very graphics intensive, come up here to Browse, go into the C drive, find the program, and select the exe file of the application. That loads it into the list, and now you can go to Options, and you can set it for high performance. Save that, and now that app is set for improved performance. Speaking of apps, come over here to the Apps menu option, go to Installed Apps, and take a look at the apps in this list. Look for any that you know you're not using and you can clear out of the system, because any extra apps can impact your performance. So anything you can get rid of will help. One in particular is this Cortana, which can be a memory hog. So you have an option here where you can uninstall that app completely. That removes Cortana from Windows. Now come over to System, scroll down to the bottom, click on About, and take a look right here at your system type. This one is a 64-bit operating system, and 64-bit apps run much faster and utilize more memory and CPU from your computer. If you have a 32-bit system here, you may want to consider installing a 64-bit version of Windows. However, that does require a complete reinstall. If you have a 64-bit operating system, then it does allow you to install the 64-bit apps. So for example, in Microsoft Office, you have a choice of installing the 32-bit or the 64-bit. This will allow you to install the more efficient 64-bit, and you can use a higher amount of memory in that application. One other application setting to consider is what you're using for your antivirus. If you go over here to Privacy and Security, click on Windows Security, and go to Virus and Threat Protection. This is where you'll find information about your antivirus tools. I have chosen to replace all antivirus software with the built-in Windows Defender. And I can do a quick scan, and I can set scanning options and look at all of the virus and threat protection settings, just like any of the standard third-party antivirus software. However, this one's free. I'll put a link to another video I created on how you can install the free Windows Defender virus software and save yourself a bunch of money. It also will run much more efficiently than some of the third-party apps. So follow that link in the description below the video. Storage settings. Your Windows PC has settings related to storage that will help improve the performance. Come down here to Start, go into Settings, into System, and choose Storage from the menu. It keeps track of all the installed apps, temporary files, and other information, and you can click to view the details of that data that's being stored. Here you'll notice Storage Sense, and by default this should be turned on. When you click on it, it gives you a little bit more information about what that does. It's set to run whenever there's low disk space, and that helps it run faster. By default, it's set to run when the disk space is low, but you can change it here in the menu to a scheduled time frame, like monthly or weekly or daily. I like to choose weekly so that it runs instead of waiting till disk space gets low. That optimizes the performance of your system. You can choose to run this manually. Just go back up here to the storage menu, and there's a cleanup recommendations down here. Open that up, And you can select various categories to clean up the data in your system. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all the recycle bin, the downloads, and all the offline web pages. You'll notice here I have 23 gigabytes in the recycle bin, which is a huge amount of data. And I'm going to select this cleanup 23.1 gigabytes and hit continue. Now let's take a look at how you can optimize the disk drives in your system. Let's go back up to storage and scroll down here to advanced storage settings. You'll see a number of options here. We'll do drive optimization. This will show all of the drives in your system. And in my case, I have a C drive that is a solid state drive, and then I have a regular hard disk drive in D. If you see any amount of fragmentation over here, then it's a good idea to run the optimization. And you can do that by clicking right here. Now you'll notice on this solid state drive, all it does is trimming. Windows knows what kind of drive you have installed, and it'll automatically adjust and just do a trim when it needs to for an SSD. For the hard drive itself, you can do the optimize and it will analyze that and do the defragmentation. Both of those functions help clean up the drive and keep it running smoothly. Now I will make one more recommendation. If you don't have a solid state drive as your primary boot drive, this can be one of the biggest factors in making your system run faster. It's worth investing the extra cost in buying an SSD drive and doing an upgrade. Makes a huge difference on the boot up as well as running applications, and even affects your browser capability on the internet. So if you have an older system without a solid state drive, consider upgrading to one. Network settings. Another way to boost the performance of your PC is to adjust the network settings. One of the best tools to do that is called TCP Optimizer. Just open up a browser and go to speedguide.net. Click on this TCP Optimizer and scroll down here and download TCP Optimizer 4. Instead of opening the file, go to the folder location and then right-click on this TCP Optimizer and run it as administrator. That opens the application, runs through some loading of the settings, and you'll see the configuration the way it is currently for a number of different network settings. Slide this bar to whatever speed you normally get for your internet connection, and then click Optimal down at the bottom. That made a few changes. Apply those changes, hit OK, and it's going to prompt for you to reboot your computer for those changes to go into effect. That's all it takes. Another network setting that can boost your PC's performance is to change your DNS settings. Come down here to your network adapter, right-click on it, go to Network and Internet Settings, and whether you have Wi-Fi or Ethernet, choose whichever one you're using. And right here where it has DNS server assignment, we're going to edit that, and instead of an automatic DHCP setting, we're going to set it to manual, and under the IPv4, we're going to give it a preferred DNS. This is 1.1.1.1, and this one is 1.0.0.1. These are the fastest DNS servers rated in the world, and it can improve the communication you have when you're browsing to internet sites. The other thing I might recommend while we're here is to go ahead and turn this on with an automatic template for DNS over HTTPS. This is an extra layer of security, so we'll do that for this one down here as well, and hit save. You'll need to reboot for those settings to go into effect, but that should improve the communication when you bring up websites in a browser. The last resort. When you've tried everything and you still can't get your system to work properly, the last resort is to do a Windows reset. That will start with a completely fresh copy of Windows. To do that, go to Start, Settings, Windows Update, Advanced Options, Recovery, and here you can choose Reset This PC. It gives you a choice between keeping your files or removing everything. Keeping your files will keep all your data, but you're going to have to reinstall all the Windows apps and reconfigure all the settings anyway. If you choose that option, it comes up with these two choices. You can do a cloud download of Windows, or you can do a local reinstall. When your system was set up initially, Windows was loaded onto your computer and then Windows installed from that location. Here, it pulls that data directly from the cloud, so if anything did happen to the files on your local machine, you'll start with a cloud-based clean copy. Once you choose this download, it does a full install of Windows, reboots your computer, and now you should have a clean copy of Windows running on your computer. System Restore Point. Now, if you followed the instructions at the beginning of the video to create a restore point, we can recover that right now. Click on Start, go to Settings, type in System Restore, choose this Create a Restore Point, and choose System Restore. Rather than use the recommended restore point, I'm going to go ahead and choose a different restore point. Hit Next, and there's the backup that we created at the beginning of the video. All you have to do is hit Next, pick the drive you want to install it on, hit Finish, and it will recover Windows without all the settings that we've talked about in this video. And that's why it's a good idea to create a restore point whenever you're planning to do a bunch of changes to Windows. I hope these recommendations have made your computer run a lot faster and boosted your PC. If it did, make sure to leave a comment below the video and share what you've experienced. Thanks for watching. Hey, if you want to see more videos like this one, please subscribe. And if you've enjoyed this video, be sure to click the thumbs up and leave a comment. I really do appreciate your support.